Okay, once more, Hare Krishna, everybody. This is Krishna Das. I welcome you all. In today's episode, we are going to cover Shlokas 2.19 to 2.24. Let me play the Shlokas.
Yaenam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhau tau na vijanito nayam hanti na hanyate na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah ajo nityah shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire Veda vinashinam nityam yaenamajamavyayam Katham sa purushah parthakam ghadayati hantikam Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya Navani grihnati naroparani Tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani Anyani samyati navani dehi Nainam chindanti shastrani nainam dahati pavakah Na chainam kedayantyapo na shoshayati marutah Achedyoyam adahyoyam akledhyo shoshya evacha Nityah sarvagatasthanu rachaloyam sanatanah.
Hare Krishna. So, do we have Mohini ji here with us today? She was going to volunteer.
Yeah.
Mohini ji is there.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Mohini ji.
Yeah.
You want
Hare
to read?
Krishna.
You want to read the translation?
Yes. Everyone. So I'm going to read all the verses together.
Yes.
Yeah. Neither the one who thinks the soul can slay and the one who thinks the soul can be slain are having true knowledge. For truly the soul can neither be killed nor does it kill. The soul is neither born nor does it ever die, nor having once existed does it ever cease to be. The soul is without birth, eternal, immortal, and ageless. It is not destroyed when the body is destroyed. Parth, how can one who knows the soul to be imperishable, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? As a person shades worn out garments and wears new ones, likewise, at the time of death, the soul casts off its worn out body and enter a new one. Weapons cannot shred the soul, nor can fire burn it. Water cannot wet it, nor can the wind dry it. The soul is unbreakable and incombustible. It can neither be dampened nor dried. It is everlasting in all places, unalterable, immutable, and primordial. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for volunteering.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So, as you can all see, we are going deep into Sankhya Yoga. That is chapter 2. And here Krishna is explaining a lot of the concepts in Vedanta. These are all part of Sankhya. You can also call it part of Jnana Yoga. And these are very important for us to understand. So I will try to make it as simple as possible. And I request you all to try and pay attention, because if you don't pay attention, it's very easy to miss these concepts. Okay, so in verse 2.19 and 20, Krishna says that those who think that the soul is the killer or that the soul is getting killed, they lack knowledge, because the soul does not kill and the soul cannot be killed. And Krishna says the soul never is born, nor does it ever die. See, the concept is very simple. Only what that is born can die. So if the soul is never born, then it can never die. It is eternal. Why is so eternal? That's the whole concept. The concept is the soul is a tiny spark of God, and God is eternal. So a spark of the eternal is going to be eternal. That is why the soul is eternal. Now, I'm sure many of you heard about the term Upanishads. Upanishads, they explain the Vedas. And there is a very popular Upanishad called the Katha Upanishad. The Katha Upanishad, in the second chapter, it says Na jayate mriyate va vipischannayam krutaschinna babuva kaschit ajo nityah shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. What it means is the Atman is never born, nor does it ever die. It did not come from anywhere. It is birthless, eternal, immutable, and primeval. The Atman is not slain when the body is slain. As you can see, the same concept that Krishna said is present in this Katha Upanishad as well. Of course, it is present elsewhere in Vedanta also. Now, Adi Shankaracharya, he is a very renowned philosopher, and he has written a lot of commentaries on the Vedas. So he has provided a commentary on this particular shloka as well. He has provided a commentary on the entire Upanishads, and specifically this shloka. And according to Shankaracharya, this verse, it sheds the light on the nature of Atma, which is our true self. And it transcends the cycle of birth and death. He explains that the Atma is not subject to physical changes that affect the body. So, we all talk about these material pains of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. Shankaracharya goes on to say that those things impact only the body. They don't impact the soul at all. Now, Shankaracharya also says that the Atma is definitely not born. There are some scholars who claim that the Atma is also born, but Shankaracharya totally refutes the claim and he agrees with Krishna and he says the soul is never born because it is a part of God and God is Sat. We discussed in the previous session, and Sat is the cause of all Asat. So God is the cause of everything, and the soul is a tiny part, tiny spark of this God. So as we discussed in the previous verses, we are not this physical body. We are something higher. Our ultimate goal in life is to realize this truth. See, some of you may have this thought that I don't know what Krishna is saying. I don't believe. Many times when I was much younger, I have attended many sessions where somebody else was teaching these concepts, and a lot of these young people, they will come and say, "Oh, I don't believe this. You have to convince me. I really don't believe this concept of soul being eternal and all of that." But the point is, whether we believe or not doesn't change the truth. So one person very famously said, he said, "You may not believe in gravity, that's okay." But that doesn't change gravity. Gravity is going to remain the way it is, right? Just like that, you may not believe that the soul is eternal, but it is the tattvam, it is the fact. It's not going to change. Now, Sri Krishna is explaining this absolute truth to all of humanity through Arjuna. That is, the soul is beyond life and death. Soul is eternal. It's a very empowering concept. And the more we learn to identify with the soul rather than with the body, our life becomes very empowered. Naturally, we become fearless. Naturally, we get more and more aligned with God. That's the whole point. Now then, Krishna talks about self-realization. Now, I want to ask you a question. What do you think is unique about humans? What makes us so unique? There are so many living beings, animals and birds, and so anybody wants to share that?
We have the knowledge to identify.
Okay.
Sixth sense we are having, we can analyze, we can do
Okay.
that.
Okay, good. Any other points? Anybody?
Yeah.
Yes, sure.
Of course. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Ekanshji. Your hand raised first.
So I'm not sure, but I think I heard this way that everybody, if there's a dog, they have their man. They do whatever they want to do their man, but we have that power to control our mind and put it in towards a God.
Okay,
So
very good.
that's why we are unique. We can control, we can do practice, and we can use our intelligence to put into the God and to know him and to chant his name. But whereas the dog will do what he will do, if he wants to eat, he will eat. If he wants to sleep, he will sleep. So that's it.
Excellent. That's very important. That is basically about Viveka, using discrimination. Good. Shrutiji, what were you saying?
Yeah, also we have a purpose in life. For other organisms, it's mainly eat, sleep, repeat, or no specific purpose. We can go ahead, communicate, we can make this a better place for everyone, help
Mhm.
others, everything like that.
Excellent. You're all right answers. No wrong answers. Beautiful. Sulataji, you had anything to add?
Yeah, no, no. The same thing which Ekankshi said. So we are blessed with free will. Free will, in the sense, we need to utilize it to discriminate what is good, what is bad.
Okay.
And
Okay. Good. Good. Ashaji, did you want to say something? I see you unmuted.
Yes, yeah. What I have read it in a book that only human have the power to understand that we are part of God. Other creatures don't have that power to understand that we are part of God.
Excellent. I think Ashaji came very close to the thing. So basically, what is unique
I
about
wanted to
humans is the ability to
we can
realize
get
this truth
liberation. We can get liberation only through in this
through
human life.
correct. That's also perfectly right. So you get liberation only after being a human. Why? Because only a human birth, in a human birth, we are able to realize the absolute truth. The truth that we are a part of God. We are, our Atman is eternal. The self-realization, that aspect is possible only in a human body. That is why they say that even the gods have to be born before they can get totally liberated. So that is what makes us unique. See, machines, they are getting smarter. Everybody is afraid of artificial intelligence. But the point is that one thing that no machine can ever do is realize. They will have theoretical knowledge. How many of you have heard of Chat GPT? That's the hottest topic, right? Chat GPT.
Yes.
But if you see, sometimes you ask a question that Chat GPT does not know the answer to, then it will blurt out. It will say that, I'm sorry, I can only say whatever I have been fed. I mean, there is a static set of data it has been fed, and all its gyan comes only from that. Anything out of scope, out of syllabus, it doesn't know how to respond. But the point is, doesn't matter how smart machines become, they can never realize, because even animals can't realize, that realization of the absolute truth is possible only in the human birth. So don't worry, at least spiritualists will always have a job, no matter how much artificial intelligence progresses. So beautifully you can summarize that using the mind and our senses, we can at the most theorize this truth, but we cannot realize this truth. The big difference. So then how do we realize the truth? That is the teaching of the whole of Bhagavad Gita. Now Vedanta tells us that there are 5 major causes of suffering. Pay attention here. The first cause of suffering, according to Vedanta, is avidya, which is ignorance, not knowing who we are. Second is raga, which is attachment. Lord Krishna will talk a lot about attachment in the next few chapters. Third is dvesha, which is the opposite of attachment, aversion. Krishna will go on to explain why aversion is also a problem. Fourth is asmita, which is egoism. Fifth is abhinivesha, which is fear and anxiety, especially fear of death. So these are the 5 major categories of suffering, causes of suffering according to Vedanta. Now if you see, avidya is considered to be the primary cause. It may seem pretty strange that people are causing lack of knowledge as the main cause of suffering, but that is what Vedanta says. Why does Vedanta say that avidya is the main cause of suffering? Because the ultimate goal of human life is to attain self-realization. And avidya prevents you from getting onto that goal. See, if your goal is to reach home after work, but instead of going home, we are going all other places, are you going to feel peaceful? No, I mean, temporarily you may be ignorant, but eventually you're going to feel very restless because you are supposed to be home and you are somewhere else. Correct? That's the whole idea. When you are in avidya, you don't realize that you are supposed to go home. You are supposed to have God realization. And that is the cause of suffering, because that's only going to keep making you feel uncomfortable and uneasy. You won't even realize, why am I not feeling peaceful? You are not feeling peaceful because you are not aligned with your goal. And you are not aligned because you are in avidya, ignorance. Raga and dvesha, Krishna will talk a lot about this. Why they are a cause of suffering. Raga is basically one of the three poisons or klesha that keeps individuals trapped in the cycle of birth and death. Raga also prevents you from getting liberation. Now, asmita and abhinivesha. Asmita is a term used in yoga to refer to egoism or a sense of separated. So if we cannot identify with the soul, if we cannot feel that we are part of God, that is called asmita, because your ego is playing a big role there. You are identifying more with this body. You are identifying with everything other than the truth. And asmita is one of the 5 kleshas or obstacles to spiritual development. And Vedanta also is giving us the solution. So Vedanta tells you what are the problems. I'll go more into detail. I have notes here. I'll share the notes. I don't want to overwhelm you with a lot of technical terms. So if you're interested offline, you can go through the notes and ask me questions. So Vedanta is telling us that these are the problems, and Vedanta also gives us the solutions. It tells us that by correcting the first cause, which is ignorance, and realizing who we really are, we become free from the effects of all the other causes. Beautiful, isn't it? Now it may make sense why Lord Krishna starts the Bhagavad Gita with Sankhya Yoga. Because he is starting with knowledge. So when he is trying to make sense to Arjuna, his first goal is to remove Arjuna's avidya. That is why the Bhagavad Gita starts with such a technical chapter. Chapter 2 is the most technical chapter in the Bhagavad Gita. A lot of technical terms, a lot of technical concepts. As you go further in Bhagavad Gita, those technicalities will keep reducing, and it will get more and more spiritual and more devotional. So Vedanta, recognizing that we all have different personalities, different preferences, Vedanta is offering us 4 paths to yoga to reach the ultimate goal. Now you can choose, all Vedanta is saying is, you can choose 4 different paths to reach the same goal. What are the 4 paths? Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Raja Yoga. Now there is a debate. Some people debate that Raja Yoga came later, but those things don't matter. Basically, these are 4 paths. So Karma Yoga is yoga of action. Jnana Yoga is yoga of knowledge and wisdom. Raja Yoga is the yoga of body and mind. Pranayama, Pratyahara, all of that comes under Raja Yoga. And of course, Bhakti Yoga is the yoga of devotion. So these are the different paths. And Krishna will go on to say, later on in chapter 6, Krishna will say that out of all these paths, Bhakti Yoga is the simplest, easiest, and the most effective. Now, as you see, one of the verses also said that the body is temporary. The soul keeps discarding old bodies and getting into new bodies based on its accumulated karma and desires. Very, very important concept. We have to keep in mind that our desires also determine how we are born, where we are born in the next life. It is not just karma. So that is why we have to be very careful about our desires. What kind of desires we keep, what kind of desires we accumulate. That is one of the reasons why we say that always think about God. If your desire is always for God realization, then you are on the right track. Otherwise, your mind starts desiring umpteen different things, and those desires will take you towards this particular birth in the next birth, which you may not be totally satisfied with, because true satisfaction comes when you are evolving spiritually. Now, even in the Greek mythology, or Greek philosophy, there is a similar concept. There is a very famous Greek maxim that says, "Man, know thyself." I don't know if you have heard of the temple of Apollo at Delphi, but that's one of the most famous temples in Greek mythology. And right at the entrance, it is written, "Man, know thyself." Because that temple was known for the oracle. The oracle was a lady who Apollo, the god, used to speak through the lady. It's a very interesting story. So if you have some spare time, you can go research on this topic on what is the temple of Apollo and relationship with oracle, and why does it say man know thyself? And you will be getting a lot of information on similar philosophy from the Greek side. So basically it says that the most important knowledge a human can acquire is knowledge of oneself. By understanding one's own strengths, one's own weaknesses, desires, motivations, we can navigate the challenges of life better and make wise decisions. That's the whole concept there. And the concept of reincarnation based on karmic accounts, it's extremely important in Vedanta. Like we all see around us, right? We can see that some people are born to beggars, some people are born to kings, some people are born beautiful, some people are born below average. How many of you have questioned this? How many of you have noticed and questioned why it happens like this? Just raise your hands if you have ever questioned, if you have even observed. Okay, some of you are blissful. You are not impacted. You are like, oh, everything is perfect. Some of you are questioning why some people born like this, why some people are born like that. How many of you have found the answer? Yeah, Preetiji, you have found an answer.
Yes, I did. I was thinking about a lot of things, that I was born in a family, I am married in a family, I have children from. So it is just a big, what do you say, different religion and different things I'm evolving around. But then I've come to know that the core is the same. Be a good human, do the right thing. So initially I used to question those things.
Good.
But
good.
now I have my answer.
I'm happy that you found some peace in some answers. Thank you so much for sharing. So basically, that is Vedanta's answer. Bananiji, you wanted to say anything? I see that you unmuted. You again got mute.
So Vinayak, if you observe,
Yeah, Bananiji wants to say something. Can I go to her first? And then I'll come to you,
Yeah.
RK, right after her. Yeah.
Actually, I read in Swami Vivekananda's book, all our Purva Janma's karma. That's why we are born like this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Vedanta says the same thing. Vedanta says that it is a mix of your karmic accounts and your desires. What kind of desires you have had that determine how you are born in this particular lifetime. RK, you had something to say?
Yeah, Vinayak, so if you look at how Krishna was being born, the amount of hardship that you had to undergo. Similarly with Rama, all the avatars had too much, that they had to go through. If you look at the life of Rama, it was 14 years of vanvas. Then Sita came in, then he had fight with his own children. So, if we speak about this karma, etc., these are gods, and we can't, nobody would expect them to do something wrong, right? So how does this accumulate to their karma and they're born in these situations?
See, today...
You take example of any great person,
I understand.
he has the same thought of suffering.
We have to first understand what is the purpose of these avatars. Like, Krishna didn't take birth on earth to just enjoy earth. Krishna took birth on earth to teach us some key lessons. And the best way to teach is by leading by example. So we will talk about this throughout the Bhagavad Gita. But for example, how will Krishna teach that you have to always be on the side of dharma? It is by actively participating in the war for dharma. Because he did that, today we have the Bhagavad Gita. And today humanity gets to learn Krishna's philosophies. If there was no Kurukshetra, if there was no war, if there was no such hardships, then humanity would not have learned anything. Just like that, Rama's principle was truth. Rama wanted to lead by example, that once you give a word, you have to keep it. Doesn't matter how uncomfortable it is, and how best to teach it than by example. Because his father gave word, correct? That is how this all started. And the father had to keep his word, and Rama helped his father keep his word, even if it meant he had to go to the jungle and spend time in Vanvas. So these are just some of the reasons, but basically they all were born for a particular reason. You are very right. All these avatars went through troubles, like Lord Buddha. He had a tough life. He had a lot of mental anxieties, but that was to show us how to deal with that. So when we have mental anxiety, the solution is not to go to a pub and drown ourselves in alcohol. The solution is introspection, finding the answers, discrimination, viveka, control of your mind, and then you get enlightenment. So I hope that answers your question. But basically, these are gods, these are self-realized souls. They come here with a purpose, and it is a choice. They are fully in control of how they want their life to turn out to be. Rest of humanity, it is not based on our choice. We are not avatars. We are common people. So for us, our birth is always controlled by our karma and our sanskaras. Sanskaras are based on our desires. And we will go talk more in depth about this while we proceed in the Bhagavad Gita. Thanks for raising the question, RK. That's a good question. And the answer will keep becoming more and more clear throughout the Bhagavad Gita.
Thanks, Tanay. Yeah.
Yeah. The next topic Krishna is explaining is how the soul is indestructible. You cannot destroy the soul. So Krishna says weapons cannot cut the soul, fire cannot burn it, water cannot wet it, nor can the wind dry it. So I want to quickly talk about the technicalities here. See, you all know that you cannot cut water. Doesn't matter how sharp the knife is, a knife cannot cut water really. You cannot cut fire either if you have tried it, correct? So the principle basically is no instrument can impact or destroy anything which is subtler, more subtle than itself. That is the concept. So anything you can see, material substances, they are all believed to be made up of 5 basic elements, or they are called Pancha Mahabhutas: earth, water, fire, air, ether or space. And each of these elements has a corresponding tanmatra, which is a quality, subtle aspect. For example, the tanmatra of earth is said to be smell. The tanmatra of water is taste. Tanmatra of fire is sight. So on and so forth. So the principle of tanmatra avirodha asserts that an instrument or force which is associated with a coarser element, such as touch, cannot have any effect on a substance that is associated with a more subtle element, such as smell. In other words, you cannot destroy smell using touch. It's very technical, very deep, but for now, just if it makes sense, I'm happy. We don't have to go much deeper here, but this is the overall concept. So basically it implies that subtler elements are more powerful than coarser ones. See, this whole, just for your information, this is the fundamental concept behind Ayurveda. How Ayurveda treats the mind and body is by the study of tanmatras. They know like what kind of energy is there, what kind of ailment is there, and they'll try to fix it using the right counterbalance. So in Vedanta, this principle is used to explain the nature of the self. So they say that because we are saying that the soul is part of God, which is Sat, and we say, in the last session we discussed, Sat is the cause of everything that is manifested. In other words, no matter which instrument you can imagine, it was manifested. And the soul is part of the manifesting power. So in other words, the soul is the subtlest. The soul is more subtle than any weapon you can build. That is why Krishna is saying that the soul can never be destroyed, because whatever tool, whatever weapon that we create, it is all going to be less subtle than the soul. I hope it's making sense. It's just a technical explanation. So, for example, when Krishna says fire cannot burn the soul, it's the same principle. That fire cannot burn it because soul is more subtle than fire. Water cannot wet it because the water molecules are much, much bigger than the soul. A soul is a lot smaller, so the water molecules cannot enter the soul. So how can it wet it? See, the concept of drying ourselves with a towel, why does it work? Even physics, that is physics, right? When we wipe ourselves with a towel, all the holes get filled by water. So the water goes into all the pores of the towel, and that is why you get dry and the towel gets wet. But the soul is so tiny, so small, there is no hole there. So how can water enter it? If water cannot enter it, how can it make it wet? It cannot. That is why it can't make it wet. And Krishna says wind cannot dry it. I mean, if nothing can make it wet, then how can it become dry? I hope you're all getting a glimpse of what Jnana Yoga is all about. So if you want to be a jnani, if you want to be, then these are the kind of studies you will have to do a lot more in depth. So in Advaita philosophy says that the individual souls merge with the super soul and become the super soul. Just like drops of water becoming the ocean. There are some scholars who say that the individual soul doesn't really merge, it just goes to the abode of the God, and these are all technicalities, doesn't matter to us that much. I mean, this debate has been going on for hundreds and thousands of years. This is the whole debate of Dvaita and Advaita and Vishishta Advaita and all of that. But if we go with what Krishna is saying, Krishna is clearly saying that your soul will come to me and it will merge with me eventually. And that is the truth for us. So that should be our aim and our goal, to eventually merge with Krishna. Now, there is a very popular philosopher and poet. His name is Khalil Gibran. I really like some of his poems. They are very philosophical. He wrote a beautiful poem on this topic, and this poem is called Fear. I'll quickly read it and then I will share the notes with you. It says, "It is said that before entering the sea, a river trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled from the peaks of the mountains, the long winding road crossing forests and villages, and in front of her, she sees an ocean so vast that to enter there seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is no other way. The river cannot go back. Nobody can go back. To go back is impossible in existence. The river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean, because only then will fear disappear. Because that's where the river will know it's not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean." What a profound, beautiful poem. That holds true for the soul. We are all afraid of death because we don't know what's going to happen after death. But Krishna says, if you are aligned, if you are following the right principles, then after death, the soul is going to come back to me. It's like that river which is going to go merge into the ocean. The soul is going to go back and merge into its source. So don't fear. That is the Advaita philosophy. Pretty much, this is what Advaita philosophy says. So there is the story of the great philosopher Socrates, who was condemned to die by drinking poison. In ancient times, it was very common. If you don't agree with the beliefs of the ruling party, you are killed. So Socrates had some philosophies which didn't go well with the elite. So he was condemned to die by drinking poison. So he was holding the cup which has the poison, and his well-wishers, his friends, everybody around him, they were all crying. They were all sad and upset and crying. You know who was the calmest person in that room? It was Socrates himself. The guy who was supposed to drink poison, he was the most calm person in that room. Why was he calm? He was calm because he knew the absolute truth. He knew that he was not the body. He knew that his ultimate reality was his soul, which can never die. So somebody asked him in that crowd, they asked him, "Socrates, how shall we bury you?" And then Socrates replied, "Well, you have to first catch the real me." So profound, right? So during his commentary on these verses, Swami Mukundananda quotes from the Nyaya Darshan. Nyaya Darshan is one of the 6 schools of philosophy. And that Nyaya Darshan gives the following argument to prove the existence of rebirth. Jatasya harsha bhaya yashoka sampratipatteh. It states that if you observe a little baby, you will find that sometimes it is happy, sometimes it is sad, sometimes it is fearful, without any apparent reason. So according to Nyaya Darshan, the little baby is remembering the past life and hence experiencing these emotions. However, as it grows up, the impressions of the present life are imprinted very strongly, and the previous imprints of past life keep getting erased. In my humble opinion, this is another lesson for us in these verses. This is why I am quoting all these examples and stories. There is one very important lesson for us based on this whole concept of soul, which cannot stay in one body for too long. It has to get out and seek a new body. I'm not putting you in a tough spot, but just curious, Suchita or Dipali or Sulata, do you remember discussing this? I know it's long ago, more than 2 years ago, when the first batch of Bhagavad Gita, we had a lesson to learn from the fact how the soul cannot stay in a body for long. It has to get out.
Yes. Just as the breath which you inhale has to be exhaled, and the food what we eat has to be, digested and
Excreted.
taken out.
Yes.
Excreted. Similarly, you can't hold on to our emotions also. Negative emotions you can't hold there. It remains still. So similarly, the soul has to,
Excellent. Applause. It's totally inspiring, and she's right on dot. Like, that's exactly what we discussed in chapter 2 in the previous batch. So just like a soul cannot stay in one body for long, there is a timer, there is a clock there. Beyond that specified time, the soul has to get out and get another body. Just like that, if you see, nothing can stay inside. Like Sulataji nicely said, you take in air, you have to take it out. You put in food, you have to put it out. Nothing can stay in forever, right? The same holds true for your negative emotions. We don't understand. Negative emotions, we think they have to stay inside us forever. Oh, that person told me something. He was so rude to me. But he was rude to me 20 years ago. I'm still having it inside me. Why? That is the concept. In nature, you have to align with nature. Everything that goes in has to go out. So keep a watch on your negative emotions. It's okay if they got into you, but you have to get it out of you as well in a timely manner. If you let those negative emotions stay inside you for a long period of time, they're going to make you sick, very sick, because you're going against the rule of nature. So that is one of the practical lessons that we can learn from this whole topic. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna. I think we are almost on time. I respect everybody's time. I will stop here and I'll open the floor. If you have any further questions, doubts, comments, anything, it's your satsang family. Maybe some of you can show your faces and say bye to your satsanga family members.
Guruji, may I ask a question?
Of course.
It is a simple question. It's like, it is said that the soul never dies, and it is said it is a small part of Vishnu, right? Like Vishnu is a big candle and we are small lights from it.
Yes.
But how did we got separated from him? Why we got separated? Why we are taking births again and again? What was the main reason that we got separated, and was it like he was having some fun or something? It is like that question, that why you got separated. And if we meet him again, if we get liberated from this world, and if we get connected with him again and we go to Vaikunt, is there a chance that he will send us back again? Because at first place we got separated, right? At first place we got separated. Why can't he do it second time?
Hare Krishna, that question is beyond me. I don't know Vishnu's mind, whether he's going to send us back. I really don't know that. Excellent question. But pretty much, what does Vishnu do? What is Vishnu's pastime, or what is Vishnu's idea of a day? This is what Vishnu does. He keeps manifesting infinite universes. And when he says manifest, it is a part of him, which he uses his power of Yogamaya and makes it a manifested aspect of him, his own self. Krishna himself will say later on in Bhagavad Gita that they are all my own manifestation. It is a part of me only. I have only manifested it using my power of Yogamaya. The point is, once he does it, he's expecting that all of us realize that this is what has happened. Vishnu has actually put us into this world But this is not the truth. We have to go back. That is our ultimate goal. So Vishnu is going to put you out, and your job is to find your way back home. Now, why Vishnu does it is beyond me. But what Vishnu is saying, or what Krishna is saying is, at least if you follow my teachings, I'll make sure that you merge with me. And then maybe at that point, we will be in a better position to tell Vishnu not to do this again.
Yeah. But it's like there was always one question in my mind, why we got separated. There might be something that happened to us.
No. The point is, everybody has to go through this process. It is just like, why does water become vapor and go up? Because eventually it has to come back down. And that is what keeps the cycle going, right? Just like that, for the universe to exist, this motion keeps happening of manifesting, unmanifesting, manifesting, unmanifesting. Is part of the universal play, and we are all part of it. We just have to do our part and make the mistake that we should not do is coming under the power of Maya, because this whole manifestation happened through Maya. We should not let Maya overcome us and fool us, into thinking that this is reality. And that is where Vishnu wants to feel the love. And how will Vishnu feel the love? See, this is a technical concept again, like Lakshmiji spoke about free will, correct? So assume, I think the other day Rajesh and me were having a similar discussion. Assume that I created a toy, or assume that I am so powerful that I can create another living being, okay? And I program it. I program it to say that whenever you see me, you have to say, I love you, Ekansh. So you have created that machine. So whenever that machine looks at you, it will say, I love you, Ekansh. Now, are you going to feel joy in that? Because it is saying, I love you, because you asked it to say, I love you. You programmed it that way. There is nothing else the machine can do. It can only say, I love you. Correct? Now, why do you feel joy when your fiancé or girlfriend says that she loves you? Because she has a choice not to say that. She has a free will. And she's using her free will to still come and say that she loves you. That is what gives you all that joy. The same is with God. God has manifested us into this fake reality. He has given us all these opulences, gold and diamond and whatever you name, everything is there. And Maya wants to know, now, would you still use your free will to say that, no, my real home is my God and I love God? That is what gives joy to God, when He sees that you are using your free will and reaching out to Him and expressing your love for Him. That is the only thing that gives pleasure to God, nothing else, because He owns everything already. We cannot give Him anything else. So this is the only thing that actually gives Him joy. Maybe that is why He keeps doing it again and again. So that's the best answer I could give you, Ekanshji.
It was a good answer.
Hello.
Yes, we have 2 more minutes. Yes.
I wanted to say something. Nainam Chindanti Shastrani was something that I've heard when I was barely 10 years. Yeah. In my school, they used to do the Gita Pathan. So I've heard it. And it was, actually, it was just empty words for me. I know the words, but I don't know the meaning. Eventually, when I grew, I found some of the meanings. But today, what I heard with the Khalil Gibran's quote, it is beautiful. Thank you so much, Raghuji. Sorry. Thank you so much.
Fine. No. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So Hare Krishna, everybody. Really appreciate everybody's presence here, and please continue to participate actively, and let us continue to enjoy this satsang family. See you all in the next session. Till then, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Bye.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you.